The oil spill crisis in California is worsening as more oil continues to wash up the southern coast. Along with the fuel, corpses of fish and birds have also reached the shore. Investigators are currently probing a potential reason for the leak. It is being said that possibly a ship anchor struck an oil pipeline in the seabed, which then triggered the leak.
These ships are anchored and many are awaiting entry into the San Pedro Bay Port Complex, the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. And in the course of transit, it is possible that they would transit over a pipeline.
Authorities have claimed that 480,000 litres of oil has spilled into the ocean. Beaches have been closed ever since the leak was first discovered on the 2nd of October. Crews dressed in white overalls and helmets are now racing against an approaching storm. Floating barriers known as oil booms have also been deployed. To give you context of the magnitude of this crisis, about 3,000 barrels of oil have spilled into the Pacific Ocean. The spill is from a pipeline connected to an offshore facility owned by a unit of Amplify Energy Corporation.
Our employees live and work in this area as well, and we are deeply concerned by what we're seeing environmentally and with the fish and wildlife, and so, like I said, we're committed to fulfilling our duty here to help with the recovery efforts as long as that may take.
Apart from the reason behind the spill, another probe has been launched following suspicions of a delayed response. Locals are claiming that a foul smell was reported on Friday, and even mariners saw an oil sheen on the surface of the water. But officials did not respond until the next day, and there are now conflicting reports coming in that the energy company has denied any intimation on Friday. But the county supervisor has said that the pipeline corporation was informed. However, they chose to go the next day because it was too dark to operate. The latest oil spill in California is a wake-up call. Environmental groups and marine scientists are using this spill to hold fossil fuel companies accountable for leaks of crude. They are urging a transition away from oil and gas and towards clean and renewable energy. Listen in to some of these voices.
The oil and gas that lies out in the ocean off of the United States and our ability to extract it is both a technological marvel, but also is a risky business. And it requires doing difficult work in very difficult environments. The ocean is not forgiving. And so what happened in this case is that we had a rather old oil field that was developed back in the 80s. And I don't know whether it's all been determined yet, but it looks like it was the sort of the old infrastructure, the pipelines that took the oil ashore, from which the oil is leaking. I think it's a lesson, even though the size is not as big as some of the major oil spills. It's a lesson that these things are likely to happen. We have to be diligent and careful about them.
The fact that this was allowed to happen, it shows that the current penalties and fines that are in place are not adequate. They're not doing their job of deterring oil companies from causing such harms on coastal communities and on wildlife. And so we're also calling for stiffer penalties. We're calling for criminal consequences for criminal charges to be filed if found to be warranted, which I think, given the harms, it seems like it should be applicable here. I'm very hopeful that this example from this weekend, the negative impacts on the coastal communities and on our wildlife, from the sea lions to the seabirds, that are all going to be affected by this tarry oil. I'm really hopeful that that can be a wake-up call to our decision makers and to everyone, that we need to move as fast as we can away from dependence on oil and gas toward a clean energy future.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.